I've returned to a big hole today. This is a former railway tunnel just outside the village of Booton, not far from Ollerton. And this is probably the only tunnel really that I know of locally that you can access, although access is getting extremely more difficult due to the amount of bramble growth behind camera. But it's a good long stretch. It's at least 100 yards or so long, this tunnel. And when I came here early this year, if I remember right, early months of 2023, I found good numbers of both peacock butterflies and herald moths. And 3rd of October, I'm back again to see who's occupying the various alcoves that run the length of this tunnel behind me. The first 2 alcoves at either end of this tunnel are usually unoccupied. It's not quite dark enough for butterflies and moths to tuck themselves away. And so any moths and butterflies that are here, and there should be some, will likely be from the 3rd alcoves onwards until the 3rd alcove from the end. But what's going to be here or not, I don't know. I suspect there may well be a handful of herald moths, but I'm expecting quite a few peacock butterflies today, because peacock butterflies, after they emerged from the pupa earlier on in the summer, have promptly done a disappearing act, and I've not seen many at all. So I'm presuming that they're already tucked up for the winter months in this tunnel. So we'll see what occurs and how it works out in the next few minutes. Well, I managed to scramble my way in, and this is the 3rd of the numerous alcoves that are along the length of this tunnel. And if I remember right, it was the 3rd such alcove in from either end of this tunnel, which I found Lepidoptera in early this year, I think it was, when I last came here. But there are 4 herald moths here. It's the 3rd of October today, so I'm quite surprised to see that these herald moths are here, unless they are using this as an overnight roost and leave here to feed up during an evening before returning back. So the first Lepidoptera then are 4 herald moths, absolutely beautiful moths, but no signs of any peacock butterflies or small tortoiseshells as yet. Well, while the wind breezes outside, very blustery today, I'm now at the 4th alcove, and there's a total of 12 herald moths here. There's one directly on the wall, just out of view in front, and then one on the left, and the rest are on the roof or ceiling part of this alcove. So we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 on the top, and then one on the side wall and one on the wall facing. And here's fine example of a herald. They are beautiful moths, beautifully marked. The ends of the wings are scalloped. The whole moth is a sort of brown, quite an unusual shade of brown, to be honest. There's that pale bar that goes across both forewings, and then those areas of orange towards the base of the wings, coupled with 2 white dots on each wing. Quite beautiful. And I have just found another one tucked further down, actually, on the wall. I do like coming here, but because of the amount of vegetation that's growing along the railway line at the normal entrance, getting here again is going to be extremely hard. It may well be possible from the other way, from the boot end of this tunnel. It would be a shame if the vegetation grew so much that there was no access in future to this tunnel, because it's a great place for overwintering Lepidoptera, and I'm surprised to find so many heralds here by this date. I thought they might not seek shelter and a suitable hibernation place out until much later in the autumn. What's also surprising is that I thought there would already be good numbers of peacocks here, but not one at the moment. However, got some way to go yet, so we'll see if we can find any in the rest of the alcoves. Well, that's pretty much all you can see. There is a certain amount of light right even in the middle of the tunnel. I can see all of where the alcoves are, so I'm going to go from the fourth alcove now. Fifth one is on the left as we look, so we'll see if we've got any more herald moths in there. 17 is the running total so far. So we're on 17 altogether, and we have a group of 5 there, and then off screen there's a single. So 6 altogether takes us on to 23 by alcove 3, and bearing in mind there was nothing in the first 2 alcoves, which I think was the same the last time I visited this site. It's a certain amount of darkness that both peacock butterflies and heralds search for. So we may not get any in the next few alcoves. Well, another 13 heralds here in alcove 6 on the right hand side, most of which are tucked up on the upper part, but there are 2 on the right hand wall lower down. That takes us to 33. A surprising count. I've been looking for any other moths that may well be tucked away in here, but nothing so far. But I am surprised at the lack of peacock and small torch-shell butterflies, especially peacocks, because they go into hibernation early, or at least that's what we're told. Well, I finally found a couple of peacocks. This one here, one which is just out of shot, and these are in the second alcove from the far end of this railway tunnel. What a lovely sight. I can't believe these are the only 2. I do love peacocks when they do that, when they're startled and you get that sort of rustle of the wings. I'll just show you the other one. Quite beautiful to see. So maybe peacocks do tuck themselves away very quickly after emerging as an adult butterfly, but then take up hibernation quarters later in the year. I don't know. I really need to come back midwinter and see how things have changed in here. Well, not the exciting species of moth I was hoping to find, but this is a brown house moth. I dare say this tunnel is full of brown house moths and maybe white-shouldered house moths. I was hoping for something a little bit more exciting than this chap, but they are an attractively marked moth, I must admit. And this one is in the last alcove before we head back through the tunnel. Well, before I worked my way back to that little lightish dot in the far distance there, we'll have a quick roundup of what I've found, and ended up with a total of 62 heralds. That's quite exceptional, and certainly beats the count I had here earlier in the year. What was a surprise was just 2 peacock butterflies, and they were in the second of the alcoves from this end, which is the opposite end to where I started and to where I've got to go back to in a minute. And apart from a brown house moth, very little else, to be honest. But although it's been a struggle to get access to the tunnel from the far end, it's been well worth it, and I really would like to come back in the middle of winter and see how the counts have changed. Will there be more peacock butterflies occupying the alcoves in there, or has there been a real decline this year in the numbers of peacock butterflies? I haven't seen many, I must admit, since adults started to appear, but they tend to do that. Peacocks tend to go into hibernation very quickly, in which case, why aren't there more in there if they go into hibernation that quickly? But as I mentioned earlier on in this video, do they find somewhere else to spend a period of torpor before reawakening and finding somewhere safe and with the right conditions to pass the winter? Once again, entomology provides potentially more questions than it provides answers.